Hello everyone, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to TRG 30 here on June the 23rd. So excited to be with you again. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. If you're new to TRG 30, then TRG 30 is all about supporting you through bold change for resilience as we continue to head through 2021. And welcome back if you've been with us before. I think you know what to expect by now. And this week, Jill is on vacation. She's on vacation. And so I'm delighted to have with me my colleague, Caitlin, who many of you will have spoken to in chat. Caitlin Green, welcome. Lovely to have you with us. It feels like we're subs on a morning breakfast show or something like but it's
just like that.
Yeah, exactly like that. It's great to have you with me today. And I'm excited about this week because we have, over the last few TRG 30 sessions, been getting some very specific feedback from you. And we've heard you loud and clear. You would like some examples from us around how organizations are doing all this relationship management that we've been talking about. So we're going to dig into tactics and examples today. Caitlin and I are going to share those together. Some effective steps that you can perhaps adapt for your own plans that our clients are taking right now to support a robust recovery. And we've got some results to share with you too, which is super exciting to start to get some data around results. As always, there are places we'd love you to listen out for. We hope each time that you spend this time with us that you are inspired. So what can you or must you change to best serve your audiences as you reflect on these examples that we will share with you today? And have confidence, right? Change is doable. It doesn't have to be huge, just thoughtful. And I hope that we can bolster that confidence as you step through your campaigns and planning. And the action that we want to see through 2021, the commitments now that you can make today towards enhancing or overhauling, adjusting, perfecting your re-engagement plans, all with this in mind, right, Caitlin? Relationships.
Yes, relationship goals. What we're really talking about here are the strategic goals that you have for your audiences this year. How do you or your organization want to engage audiences, and how do you need to engage them to come back with robust recovery? So of course, the examples we're showing here today are all about these individual organizations' tactics and campaigns to support their relationship goals. But Stephen and I are curious what yours are. So please now drop into chat, share with everyone. Don't just share with us because other people will like to see it too. Share what some of your audience relationship goals are for this likely first season back for you. Is it about fulfillment, acquisition, retention, stewardship, higher scores on your Net Promoter surveys? What are you looking for out of your audiences this year? We'll come back to these in a bit, but please do share those as we go.
For sure. We hope you've had lots of inspiration on those over the last few weeks. And, you know, chat's there all the way through. Please talk directly to Caitlin and I. And don't forget to submit your questions with the Q&A button. We hope to have a bit of time at the end for that. So keep popping into chat your relationship goals and objectives for the coming season. There's some great words: connection, creating a community. We're going to come back and reflect on some of these as we step through. So we've got examples globally from the US, Canada, and the UK to share with you here. And there are so many that we wanted to include that couldn't, but let's get started and dig in. First of all, with Virginia Symphony Orchestra, who perform in multiple venues and has historically offered subscription by genre and by venue. And then COVID happened, right? And there was a big pivot that needed to happen. They had limited live performances, new digital programming, and as we all did, a real crucial need to retain relationships and also related revenue, particularly with their subscriber base. So they broke down every barrier through COVID. You could choose to go to any venue you like. You can pick a show outside your genre. All the rules were broken, and their subscribers loved it and reacted really positively. So we've taken that through and forward into this next subscription offer through the current season and reimagined that offer based on data and feedback from subscribers, and also aligned it with the introduction of a young, dynamic new music director. So this approach has broken the silos of venue-specific and Pop's classic package silos. We've introduced an unlimited subscription and also intentionally sold subscriptions before all programming is finalized to ensure a portion of the season could be more responsive to the moment and not locked in months or perhaps even years in advance. And look at this last point, the results here. So this unlimited subscription with this choice and flexibility, 1 in 4 subscribers are upgrading to a full unlimited subscription package. Really incredible upgrade results as they flow through this campaign at the moment. Super, super exciting and responding directly to what they heard from patrons through the pandemic. Okay, let's skip up to Canada, to Royal Winnipeg Ballet, who have embraced completely the ongoing state of unknown there and leaned into flexibility and simplicity with a really transparent campaign that's resonating brilliantly with their buyers. Now in Canada, capacity restrictions are still up in the air. So they're planning to seat people based on loyalty metrics, a bit like we talked to a couple of TRG 30s ago. We've got limited inventory. How are we going to choose who to seat and when, and what relationships are we going to reward? So there are 2 subscription price points, super, super simple choice, 2 price points. And then seats are assigned 5 to 6 weeks before each production. So there can be flexibility and adaptation based on restrictions, hopefully loosening as the time goes on. But this makes sure that these subscribers get the best available seats based on whatever those limitations are. And they're 40% ahead of pace, like incredible results from this focused, simple and flexible communications process that they've gone through with this campaign. And this isn't just about subscribers, right? If you don't have subscription, whether it be membership, going on sale with multi-buy packages or regular ticket buying, how can you include this level of simplicity and flexibility when, quite frankly, that's all we're all desiring right now as we step through the other side of this pandemic? Let's talk about the types of messaging that are helping support this campaign. I love the language on here, messaging like, if the last year has taught us anything, flexibility in the midst of change is essential. Our commitment this season, flexible ticket options for you and flexible delivery from us. I just love it. And yeah, 40% ahead pace, super exciting. Caitlin, we're heading back to the US now.
Yeah, let's come back to the US. We're going to Shakespeare Theater Company in Washington, DC. Now, Shakespeare has come out of the gate with a wonderfully, audaciously spectacular season for their first season back after the pandemic. Now, this is really exciting because we're seeing new people responding to our campaign results. So we've got a lot of new subscribers coming in, which is great. And what we know from all kinds of research that we've done is that about 50% or more of new subscribers don't renew after their first year. So they come once and then they're gone as subscribers.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's programming is so amazing that we're seeing new to file subscribers, meaning the first ever transaction someone saying yes to is as a subscriber. So that number, that 50% number, could go way up if we don't do something to mitigate that attrition. So we've planned for it. In fact, we've planned 5 things for it. I see many of you in chat have said you want to welcome new audiences. Take down these notes because this doesn't just have to be about subscriber or member retention. What we've planned is this 5 different touch points to keep new people close to us. So the first one is a postcard that they'll receive within a week of subscribing that welcomes them to the Shakespeare Theater Company family and season and gives them a free drink. The second is a touch point before this huge blockbuster they have planned this winter. That's a thank you. It's a pre-blockbuster call that says, thanks for being here and we can't wait to celebrate this show with you. Then before whatever their first show is, because they may start at different times in the season, they'll get a video email from the artistic director saying, here's what you can expect at our venue. Here's how we show up and we can't wait to welcome you in our doors as a subscriber for the first time. And then after their show, we're segmenting our Net Promoter surveys. So we've talked a lot about surveys and listening here. You can go back and listen to our conversation with Fred Reicheld, who developed the Net Promoter system from last year. We're going to segment these surveys to make sure that we're talking to new people specifically, so we can see what we're learning from them that might be different from what we learn from our existing audiences. And then finally, before subscription renewals come around, we are going to surprise and delight them. They're going to get us something special on their chair at will call. We're still planning the tactics here, but we're going to make sure we lean in one last time. So look at any number of these to help you support those relationships with new audiences that you all intend to bring in. Here's what this postcard looks like for Shakespeare. It's really simple. This is not process heavy. They've designed a beautiful, celebratory, easy postcard that introduces them to the box office team. And then they're putting labels on those every week and stamps and getting them out the door. So let's invite this back. Great. Okay.
Love that postcard. Love that postcard.
I know, it feels so happy, right? I mean, we're actually welcoming you to live indoor performance, and they are incredible performances coming up. Go to Omaha. The Omaha Community Playhouse launched their subscription campaign early. In fact, earlier than ever before in a pandemic. This was a bold choice that they made to really relook at their timeline and who they were talking to when. So they didn't launch their subscription campaign for everyone, but they did go to their to their closest audiences, to subscribers and donors who'd been with them for a long time, who'd stuck with them through the pandemic, and said, hey, we don't know what our season is entirely yet, but we want to give you a chance to say yes now. Become subscribers with us today before the full season is announced. Now, here are the results. This started about 3 months ago. So they started 10 weeks earlier than they ever had before. And the result now is that they're 33% ahead on units and $110,000 ahead in their subscription campaign in a pandemic. This is not the only client, Stephen, where we're seeing really positive results on early campaigns, specifically for subscription. Now, I know you don't all have subscription. Many of our clients do, so that's why you're seeing those examples today. But people are saying yes, and Omaha has certainly reaped some very positive results because of that.
Yeah, I think I know Mike has asked a couple of questions around the mood of audiences to attend performances, right? And yet survey data continues to be interesting, and there is still certainly confidence needed in order to encourage folks to attend. But the data is telling us loud and clear that folks are ready to come back to live performance. And actually, even in the UK here, where we have ticket sales going on sale for future performances through the rest of this year and into next, week by week in our COVID benchmark, we're seeing an increase in revenue. The gap is closing. So we're starting to see it in the data. This pace volume that we're seeing with subscription campaigns is very, very encouraging. I was talking about the UK. Let's just pop over here for a second and talk about Wiltshire Creative, who operate Salisbury Playhouse, Salisbury Arts Centre, and Salisbury International Arts Festival. Now, like probably everyone on this call, before the pandemic, Wiltshire Creative had sold tickets, right? And then the pandemic forced closures, and they asked buyers to convert those tickets to donations, which they did in great volume. Again, like many of you, we invited folks to make a commitment and support our organizations through a crucial time. But then, now they've decided to take some real action here and reciprocate that generosity by issuing complimentary memberships to all of those ticket donors as they reopen for live performance over the coming months. And now they're stewarding those members with a goal of creating repeat ticket buyers, and then hopefully entering them into a new cycle of pandemic-free, please, relationship building so that they can regenerate these folks into ongoing members that support their organization's mission. And first of all, I love the fact they've acknowledged this and been so generous in response to that commitment. But the communications that they've issued alongside this are really, really lovely. I've picked out a couple of lovely sentences here. Your contribution has supported our ongoing community program throughout the pandemic. And then this reflection here to recognize your contribution to Wiltshire Creative and the difference you've made. We're delighted to make you a complimentary part of our membership scheme. This gesture of gratitude requires no action from you at this time. And they will steward these folks through those benefits and experience over the coming year. And then hopefully in a year's time, we'll have some data to see how those folks have continued to engage post-pandemic. Really, really exciting.
Hey, Stephen, before you talk about Houston Ballet, let's answer this question. We have an anonymous question that's totally relevant to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
It hurts subscription renewals if you announce a TBD slot in your programming. Now, we've given 2 examples today of organizations that have moved forward without full programming announced. Stephen, do we have any concerns about TBDs?
We do not. In fact, even pre-pandemic, we actively encourage you to go out with your subscription campaign with no programming. And we see, you know, these folks are committed beyond programming to your organization. They're ready to commit and make a commitment to you. And we see very clearly in the data that this, even now where organizations have not done this before, folks are ready, loud and clear to make a commitment to you. And I think, you know, it comes to this point around the communications that we have alongside it with you, this empathetic and honest, transparent approach to how you're going to guide them through the season. So absolutely, we'd actively say if you're ready to go, even if you've got more than one TBD slot, go for it. Go out there with your campaign.
It won't work for all segments. Those first-time single ticket buyers that you're trying to get to convert may still need to know your titles, but your most loyal audiences, they're there for you. They're there for the relationship and the experience. The titles are much less relevant to those audiences.
Well, let's talk about segmentation then, Caitlin.
Yeah, let's.
It's a perfect segue there to our work with Houston Ballet, where we've taken some real time to consider all of the relevant segments for this upcoming campaign, the key renewal and acquisition segments. You can see some of the examples here. We took some real thoughtful time to talk about, as we discussed a few weeks ago, about starting by empathizing with each segment. What do they need? What do each of these folks need? What solutions can we offer? And how do we best approach them during what is going to be a really truncated subscription cycle? How best to navigate through this? And so there's been some real thought into the type of messaging and approach that we need to take with each of these, including, look, those folks that, again, we were kind enough to keep their money as credit on account, those that stalled and did not potentially engage with any program choices that we had through the pandemic. Yes, renewals, of course, and those that may have upgraded, but also acquisition. We're seeing really clearly that folks are coming back. And as Caitlin, that example that you shared earlier, new subscribers, we're seeing it really loud and clear in the data right now. So there's opportunity there for sure. And look, this approach at Houston Ballet, they've exceeded both their renewal revenue and unit goal just 5 weeks into the campaign. 5 weeks, smashed that goal, which is now giving them the time and space to work on that acquisition segment with as much nuance and intention as they paid to their renewing subscribers. Awesome results there.
The way so many of you are talking about the audiences you want to bring out, leading with this empathetic approach that says, who are we talking to, when and how, will be so critical to you achieving these successes that you're looking for. And all of the examples we have here today are just rife with, ripe? I don't know, either way. We have a lot of empathy in what we're talking through today, and it's really inspiring to me as we work with these organizations. Okay, let's go to Canada again. We're going this time to Toronto, to our friends at the Toronto Symphony Orchestra. They had an annual fund cycle with their donors that looked something like this. In the fall, we were looking at retention efforts and stewardship, a calendar year-end campaign, both for acquisition and renewals. Early spring, we saw a lot of renewals coming in with the subscription campaign. And then, of course, early summer, maybe late summer, depending on when your fiscal year end is, we've got that final push for gifts in the year. So this might look fairly familiar to you, and it may also look familiar to you that this early spring piece with subscription renewals coming in February or March was not going to happen in the way that we had seen that in historic years. So marketing and development got together and they said, what are we going to do? What should we replace this piece of communication cycle with? And they opted for a mid-year telefunding campaign. Let's go into the details of some of this, Stephen. So here's what they've done. They did a lot. Look at all these action words: collaborated, aligned, focused, extended. This team together made sure that they weren't overlapping each other's campaigns. When will subscription come out? When do we have major donor communications that are happening? What channels are these on? This channels bit becomes really important in Canada and in the UK, where an email address is worth a lot. It's hard to get permission to be able to contact people that way, and we certainly don't want to lose them once they said yes. So what Toronto Symphony saw is that a lot of people were responding very positively to some of the digital content they were providing in email, and they didn't want to jeopardize that with another appeal. So they went just for phones. This was strictly telefunding. They used a third-party group. You could certainly do this in-house as well. And the campaign focused just on acquisition and a little bit of renewal cleanup. But this was really about working from a new pool of people who had engaged with them over the last few months. And then it worked. So they extended the campaign. They were seeing a positive return on their investment week over week. And so they didn't stop when they planned to, they kept going. And this has put them on track for their best annual fund ever. Congratulations to the Toronto Symphony Orchestra for listening to their patrons and for collaborating internally to make sure they were capitalizing on all of their resources, assets, and relationships as best they could.
Okay, and point around marketing development collaboration.
Yeah.
Think about this with some of the discussion I'm having here in the UK now, where we've got members getting ready to renew their membership and an opportunity to get them re-engaged as new events go on sale. And this tension, right? Membership, ticket buying, what's the priority to put in front of them right now? And the goal really is to collaborate these campaigns and merge them together. And I love this particular example around how we can communicate and align all of our channels together appropriately to achieve that goal. One more, not
one
far
more.
You are, Caitlin, right?
Here in my hometown. It's not my hometown. I'm not from here, but I live here now. And I am in Pittsburgh, and we're talking about the Pittsburgh CLO. Now, the CLO produces 6 huge musicals every summer at a large, indoor, of course, venue here in Pittsburgh in the Cultural District. The pandemic canceled their season last year, and it forced some super exciting innovation this year. They're producing again, which is really exciting. We did not have to cancel an entire season, but we're doing it outside in Heinz Field where the Steelers play, and this is super cool. But super cool also means we need some really nuanced and thoughtful relationship management to bring people along with us. So they have really amazing donors. You all probably have really amazing donors. And historically, they've had great one-to-one relationship management with their major donors. But this was a time for us to expand that. And so they started talking to all of their mid-level donors as well. Phone calls with every one of them before the announcement happened. Now, not all those phone calls happened before, but everyone got the opportunity to schedule a call before. 2 points here. They got on the phone to people that they weren't used to having one-on-one conversations with, and they let them schedule their calls in advance. So nobody was waiting on hold. Everyone felt really well taken care of. And then they saw 100% retention. Many of these mid-level donors are contributing because of some benefits that they get for doing this. And they all stayed. They said, yes, great, we're involved, we're going, let's do this. And not only did they stay, but they gave more. The CLO generated over $15,000 in unsolicited revenue just by talking to people and telling them what they were doing. Then, of course, that means they've had all these phone calls with people they weren't talking to before, so they've been able to listen to their patrons with more acuity and intention than they have in a long time to this particular segment. So again, well done to the CLO, getting on the phone, scheduling calls, and bringing in revenue to support this ambitious season. So what do we have here, Stephen? We just went through a host of results, and there's some things in common across all of these.
There are. I think as I reflect on these, and this carries through from our previous conversations together, the need to be responsive to what we're hearing and really empathy-led in our communications. And really gut check that with multiple people in your organization. This is a key theme across all of these in the communications that we've seen. Really thoughtful crafting of the communications there.
We also see that there's action. All of these things are about doing something to get you closer to those goals that you've all articulated here. What are the tactics that are going to let you inch toward it? It's not all going to happen in one leap. These are inching steps toward the goals that you have to serve your audiences as brilliantly as you used to, and maybe even better when we come back from this pandemic.
I think another theme through here, Caitlin, and something that we definitely want you to take away from today is to experiment and try things out and let the data do the talking of how folks are responding. I'm not sure any of us knew how some of these campaigns would play out over the previous months. And so there's a lot of testing and learning and the confidence to go ahead and try something. As long as we're being empathetic with our approach and looking and checking through the data afterwards, I think we can see clearly here how some of that experimentation has paid off really positively. And data, right, Caitlin? Data, I've mentioned it.
From us, data from TRG. Of course, there's data at the end of this, Stephen, of course. To be able to define what we need and also measure our success. So you've got to be able to incorporate data all the way along. So you know when to change, when to lean in like the TSO did. The data said, keep investing, let's do this. Like the VSO, when the data said your audiences want more, so they offered it, use the data to help inform those decisions and use it to celebrate. We did today. We're inspired by the results that we're seeing, and we hope you all are too.
We are, for sure. And we were inspired by all of you that show up every week to join us here at TRG 30. If you need access to data, the COVID benchmark is a place where you can view your data against your peers globally. And you can join that on our website. And don't forget more data, the comeback study, hopefully our last one, when and how the sector plans to come back. We'll send you an email invitation to just take 10 minutes to complete that survey. And Caitlin's dropped it in chat here too. And don't forget, resources past TRG 30s are all available on our website, trgarts.com. Caitlin, we're almost at time. I don't know, as you look through here, if there's any final questions or thoughts you would have as we head to the bottom of the hour.
Well, my thoughts are some of you have asked some really specific questions, and we're going to get back to you. So if you've left a question here that is unanswered, you can expect to hear from Stephen and I in the next day or so for that. No, my thoughts are to thank you all for being here, to tell you that we see good work being done every single day with our clients. You know, we're consultants. We're not working right alongside you in your organizations, but we get in it with these clients, with these organizations, and dozens more that we weren't able to brag about today that we could. And you leave us all inspired to want to do more and do better for our audiences and our communities. So I don't know, that's how I feel today, Stephen. What would you add?
I wouldn't add anything to that. You've summarized perfectly. We hope you leave feeling inspired and confident as we plan ahead, and we can't wait to welcome you back in 2 weeks' time to TRG 30. So keep an eye out in your inbox for that next invitation. We look forward to seeing you. And yeah, we will follow up with these specific questions personally. Take care. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.